Even dreams start fading too. I am leaving, tell me what to do. I can feel it slipping away. Treading water, yeah, what's the use? I just hate playing these games. Love drifts soft in the light. Come on, meet me at the poolside. Late July, you're on my mind. We were never meant for this life.
Every year at the end of August, I start feeling something stir inside of me. And maybe you feel it as well. Even though I'm retired and even though my schedule is wide open and no one is telling me what to do, I start feeling this really weird heaviness. And so I thought we could talk about that. Talk about those feelings and why maybe it happens and what to do about it, or if we should be doing anything about it. So let's discuss. Hi, my name is Reina and this is Small Retired Life. On my channel, we tackle topics that have to do with retirement and living our lives in our 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond. If you're new, welcome here. For some reason, to me, at the end of August, it's like the seasons start pressing in. The light changes, the mood changes, the air starts to feel a little bit heavier, and I find that it's like the walls are pressing in on me. Like I'm running out of some kind of imaginary time. I start feeling closed in. I start feeling like I have too many things around me. There's too much clutter in my home. I don't know. It's very strange. I've felt that way since my childhood, since the earliest part of my childhood that I can remember. I remember feeling really strange during the last week of August into the first week of September. And I mean, autumn is like my favorite season in the world. I mean, who wouldn't love sweater weather? And I love sweaters. And I'm a knitter, so I don't sometimes understand why I feel like this, but if I feel like this, I'm confident that other people do as well, so I thought it would be kind of interesting to explore this topic. I think the first and most important thing is to actually identify what it is that you're feeling. Is it restlessness? Is it overwhelm? Is it anxiety? Is it frustration? It's important to name the feeling because once you actually identify whatever it is you're feeling, then you can move forward to tackle anything and everything around you that you can actually control to tame that feeling. I think when you identify something, then you can deal with it. When you don't really know what to do, then you don't know where to start. I don't think this is a strange exercise to go through. I think it's human to feel feelings during a time of change. And frankly, incoming autumn is a time of change. The weather changes, leaves start turning a different color. And from early childhood, we have been conditioned to believe that September, late August is a time of change. We're going back to school. A new school year is starting. And the possibilities to change who you are and become someone else is always there at the start of September. At least that's how I used to feel as a kid. I would get excited about going to school, but I would also be anxious and a little bit scared. And so maybe those are the feelings that I'm feeling at the end of September. When I was working, it was the same thing. Summer was when things slowed down a little bit. I would usually go on vacation in August, and when I got back to work, usually the first week of September, we always had meetings, and it was all about, all right, how are we going to tackle this last quarter? What are we going to do for autumn campaigns? And, essentially, it was like trying to get everything done before the end of the year. And I think that's a part of it. It's the fact that there's really only like 4 months left before the year is out. And we want to pack everything and anything. And we've been conditioned to do that by society, by our workplaces, by schools, to pack as much as we can into that last quarter of the year so that we can go into the new year feeling accomplishment. What do you think? Do you feel that way as well? Do you feel that when autumn comes, you have this kind of spurt of energy where you feel like you should accomplish as much as you can before the end of the year? When I start feeling overwhelmed or anxious, the first thing that I start noticing is any clutter that's in my home. It's just my nature that clutter makes me anxious. And when I am anxious and when I do feel overwhelmed, it's kind of the first thing I noticed. And in the summertime, I don't spend a lot of time walking around my house, decluttering things and getting rid of things. It's nice out. I want to be outside. I want to be walking. And so part of the anxiety, I think for me, especially now that I'm retired and there really isn't any reason for me to do any specific thing at any certain time, I do start feeling a little bit anxious, and therefore I start seeing any kind of clutter that's accumulated. I think this is also due to the fact that usually around the beginning of September, I start reviewing my closet and my clothing because I need to figure out what makes sense for autumn and winter and what will soon get shoved to the back of my closet for the summer. I went and I pulled out all of my winter and autumn things that I had stored in my bins after my big closet cleanup video that I did, which I can link above. I found that essentially I hadn't gone through anything all summer long, and the same thing with around my house. So one of the ways that I tackle this feeling of feeling overwhelmed is I try and calm and empty the space around me. And I start thinking about what changes I could make to bring a little bit of peace of mind to myself and into my surroundings. So I start going through cupboards and I went through my closet. I got rid of any summer things that I found I never wore during the summer. And that was a great exercise, just having my summer things in my closet, because it allowed me to see what I enjoyed wearing and what never got touched. And I did a big trip to Goodwill the other day, which always warms my little heart, and got rid of quite a few things and went through my autumn and winter bins and actually was able to purge quite a bit of my items that I knew I wasn't going to wear this year and that I probably hadn't even worn the year before, and was pleased to see that my closet actually looks very much the same size as when I purged it just before the summer season. The other thing that I tackled is, so I've been editing my videos on my living room chair with my laptop in my lap. It's all right. I mean, I can do it, but it's not a great way to work. I realized that I need a proper desk and I don't have one. I also have a ton of space upstairs, which I never use, like my library, which houses my books and some plants, but hardly ever gets used. So I decided to finally do something about it, and I have a company coming in who are going to do some kind of a desk situation for me so I can edit my videos, so I can have my sewing machines upstairs and not in my dining room where I have zero light to sew. Just all around kind of look at my rooms and reevaluate how I use them and what makes sense. These kinds of activities are something that make me feel calmer and better. Now, this may be different for you. I mean, not everybody's into decluttering and nesting and doing their home things. Or, not everyone is into doing sewing and knitting and therefore needs kind of a dedicated space for those things. Some of you, it might be that you get out and you do more hiking while you still can before heavy snow falls if you live in a country like Canada. Or you maybe go and start cleaning your garden and start getting your garden ready for next season. Everybody's different. Everybody has a different way of dealing with these types of things. What I would say is that sometimes by silencing some of the little tiny bits of chaos around us that may have developed during the summer, because we were out doing all of the summer things that we do, if we kind of focus in and silence the chaos around us, practical chaos like clutter or cleaning up something in the yard or in the garage or that type of thing, it can actually go a long way to make you feel a little bit calmer and a little bit more organized and allow you to breathe a little bit easier. Let me know in the comment section maybe some of your coping mechanisms when you have a lot of change happening or you feel like there's change happening because you've been conditioned to think that you have to feel that way. Slow down and breathe. Just take a moment. This is highly, highly underrated. I have a busy brain. I have one of those brains that keeps going every second of the day and also at night. So I have a really hard time falling asleep. And in the summer, I kind of have so many things on the go with just working YouTube and getting outside and often going out with friends. It seems to be like such a great time to get out with friends because the weather is nice. I just feel like maybe at the end of August, when I start getting these weird feelings, I need to just sit and take a moment. And that's when I personally kind of get into my knitting and into my really solitary kinds of tasks. Or sometimes even it's just sitting with a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, depending on what time of the day it is, looking out the window and breathing and thinking thoughts, letting them run through my brain at their own pace. Sometimes it's just journaling. And one way to kind of clear the chaos for me is to sit and do a total mind dump into a journal. Just start writing whatever it is that's going through my mind and maybe putting some thoughts down for the rest of the year, getting it out on paper so that you have it written down. And for me, that kind of gives me that piece of, okay, I wrote it down, so I no longer really have to think about it, because if I want to remember it, I can look it up in my journal. So that's another way of kind of settling the mind and dealing with some of the, I guess, restlessness that sometimes comes into our being during these very last few weeks of summer and as we're going into autumn. I would also add that this includes watching things on YouTube that talk about, for example, new trends for 2025 autumn season or new trends for 2026 or what's trending now kind of thing. I find those types of videos seem to inundate my YouTube feed when I first come onto my homepage. And I'm like, I just don't want to see that. It's kind of like I don't want to see ads for Christmas in September. I don't want to see what's going to be trending for 2026. And I also don't want to look at what's trending for autumn 2025 because I don't want to feel pressured in any way to have to go out there and start shopping to fit into the trends. That part of my life, thank goodness, is over. I don't care about the trends, but I find even seeing the titles of those videos kind of makes me anxious. I don't know. How about you? Do you feel that way? I really work hard during this time of the year to create some gentle and slow routines. I mean, I typically, as you know, believe in slow living, and I believe in not going crazy with being busy and doing too many things. But especially this time of the year, I really enjoy having my rituals. I kind of stick to them a little bit more to remind myself that I can. I don't have to go out there and rush around and get ready for the school year or the, new work quarter or whatever it is that you're supposed to be getting ready for. I really relish those morning cups of coffee and just do a few rows of slow knitting or read a really good book. I relish just being home and either sitting on my patio while I still can enjoy the weather or just sitting in my favorite chair and enjoying life, breathing it in, feeling the moments. We've been so conditioned to rush and to be stressed that sometimes it's really hard to just sit and take a moment to breathe. And I challenge you to do that, even for 5 minutes a day. Even if you're a busy brain like me, who has a tough time sitting down for 5 minutes without moving, I challenge you to do that, especially if you're feeling that little bit of autumn anxiety, as I call it. When life feels chaotic, our routines can be the anchors. And just because we're retired doesn't mean that we don't need some semblance of a routine, of a schedule, of some structure, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Structures make us feel grounded and I guess allow us to anticipate to some extent what's coming. And sometimes that's a really good thing. So this is where I kind of tend to go to when I feel like there's a little bit of anxiety or overwhelm, or like I'm feeling like there's something afoot, there's change coming. I find that these little rituals and structures are what keep me grounded. The next thing I do is I really reduce whatever it is that I'm watching or reading, especially things like the news. I also cut back on looking at any catalogs and those types of things, which often create this desire for things that I don't need, and I know if I would buy, I would not care for later on. I like to read books, fiction. Those are the types of things that I enjoy at this time of the year. Or if I'm watching social media, or YouTube, it's more things that inspire me in a positive way. Like, for example, I've been watching a lot of knitting YouTube videos because someone's knitting the same project I'm knitting, and so it's nice to get input from people on whatever it is that I'm working on. Or I look at things that empower me, make me feel good, make me feel calm, that type of thing. But I try and stay away from really negative news because if anything, it adds to my anxiety and it adds to that feeling of restlessness. And this type of thing is not anything that you can control as an individual. Often it's about politics or world events or that type of thing, which I have zero control over. And because I'm a true Stoic and I believe that you should really focus on things you can control and not waste the mental energy on things you can't control, I don't like to have those kinds of things and those kinds of messages infiltrating a time of year when I really want to feel coziness, and I want to feel like I'm wrapped up in a warm little blanket, even though it's still warm outside. So I really control the inputs that I'm allowing into my home and into my life. And I find that goes a long way as well to easing some of that restlessness and some of that anxiety that I really experience at this time of the year. Finally, I try and remember that this is seasonal. At least for me, it is. Usually by the middle of September, I'm back to normal. I feel calm again. I feel like myself. I kind of know my direction for the rest of the year. I really believe this, for me anyways, is caused by a change in season. I feel the same kind of thing in when we kind of shift from winter to spring. I don't feel it as much when we go spring to summer, or when I go from, let's say, the end of the year into those early months of January, February, and March. I don't really feel those kinds of anxious moments. If anything, I'm always invigorated because it's a new year and I get to do, new things. I get to set out my intentions, and I love that. I love that time of year. For some reason, I feel this the most at this time of the year, and I honestly believe it's because of the fact that in our past, in our childhood, and even in our working life, September always somehow signaled that, the fun is over. We have to buckle down and get back to serious work. And so I think it does generate a certain amount of anxiety in us. And I think it's normal. If you're feeling a little bit like I am, a little bit overwhelmed or anxious, and you get that funny feeling that you can't really name, know that you're not alone. I think a lot of people feel this, and it's really all about naming that emotion or that feeling, and then creating an environment where you can then deal with some of that if these feelings are making you anxious. So maybe cleaning up your space a little bit, creating some peace and some stillness, and taking time to breathe and just to feel the feelings. Being careful as to what kind of messages you're letting into your life right now. Count on your rituals to make you feel like you're moving in the right direction, like things are peaceful, things are normal. I don't know. I'm just feeling this way right now. Let me know if you think that's really odd, or if you're experiencing that as well as we're getting into our autumn season. This video will be out like right at the beginning of September, so I thought this was kind of a timely topic to talk about. Otherwise, this is what I have for this week. I hope you click the like button if you like the video, and leave a comment below if you want to share something or share your own feelings this time of the year. And I will see you all next week at our regular time. Bye.